Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending tonight's webinar with Dr. Bruce Smoler here, as everybody sees on the screen. For those of you who don't know Dr. Bruce Smoler, he's an amazing individual, an incredible clinician, someone very cutting edge in implantology, robotic implantology even, and someone who I say, as you see him stiff-arming there with his, I'm not sure if he was in the dental chair or the tattoo chair, but nevertheless, an incredible individual. It got a very bold personality. Dr. Smoler, we met each other several years ago, actually at a progressive full arch conference, and immediately had just a passion for implant dentistry. We connected at a very high level, and consider you a friend today. And I remember just early on knocking on your door when my early days with TRI USA about a year and a half ago, with our stellar area sales director, Corey Cabot. We knocked on your door, we gave a nice value proposition of the TRI implant system, and you said, Chris, this is amazing, but just right now, this is not the right opportunity for me to make a change in my implant practice. And we look at you as kind of the poster child for TRI. As you're very digitally focused. You're an expert in all-in-X design, 3D printing, photogrammetry, and you're really someone that we looked upon as an early adopter in this category. But now, obviously, after relentless pursuits of text messaging, bombarding, our rep,
wore me down.
you got worn down, and now here you are a year and a half later here, conducting a webinar, and you believe this is one of the best implant systems you ever worked with. So first and foremost, thank you for giving us the opportunity, sharing this, your education, your expertise to your peers that are on this call today. So it's highly appreciated, and I can't thank you enough. For those of you, just getting to know Dr. Bruce Smoler, he is, has his private practice in Michigan. He's a Michigan native, so he is a big University of Michigan alumni, Northwestern Dental School, and has over 35 years experience in dentistry today. You've completed a 3-year surgical dentistry program. You've held many different advanced surgical training certifications. You've earned your fellow of the International Congress of Oral Implantology. You've placed well over 10,000 dental implants now, so you're highly skilled. And you've completed actually over 6,000 hours of continuing education. You rank upon the top 1% of implant dentists in America today. You lecture from all over the world. You're yawning right now, and we're certainly, this is a very big, gratitude to you, my friend, for the level of expertise you provide patients from all over the world. So thank you very much to that. Before we kick it off to Dr. Bruce Smoler, I'm going to give, for those of you who may not know the TRI dental implant system, just a high level overview of what makes us very different than every other implant system in the world today. So thank you for the time and attention. I promise you I'll keep this short and sweet because you're all here to see the man of the hour, Dr. Bruce Smoler. So thank you, everybody. For myself, my name is Chris Luter. I run the U.S. operations for TRI USA. We have a nice, robust sales team. We have clinical doctors on staff. We are one of the fastest growing implant companies in the United States today. And hopefully you see the reasons why, what makes us so different than every other implant system out there. For me, for you, Dr. Smoler, this is year 35. For me, this is year 20. Started my career at Noble Biocare when at the time in the early 2000s, that was the place to be. That was the party. And then, innovation has changed that. I was one of the key executives to start the brand Neodent when there wasn't one user in the entire United States. Built that over a 6.5-year run, which led me to the 3D printing space, which is so exciting and part of this ecosystem with the TRI Matrix. But built that brand over 2.5 years, and then now a year and a half with TRI USA. So we are not a new implant company. This is our 12th year in inception. We're a Swiss-based company, so everything we do is very high Swiss quality and precision. We like to say we're the most simplistic implant system out there in implant dentistry because our portfolio is razor thin. You look at every other implant catalog today, it's like a phone book. We're implants, we're scan bodies, and we're screws. And then everything is a customized or printed, milled or printed restoration right to the interface, which I'll be talking about. We think everything is digital. The world, as we know, is going very digitalization, the way the world is changing. And the gentleman on my left is our global CEO, Tobias Richer. He also has a very innovative and robust and disruptive mindset in business. He started the company Implant Direct with Jerry Nisnik the same exact day and sold it at the same time. And then now year 12 here we are with TRI Global. The Matrix implant that I'll be talking about today has been out now year 6, and we're in 49 countries, and we're very passionate about our growth. We know what abutments do today. For every other implant system in the world, what do? They correct our implant angulations, as we know, to have fantastic prosthetic outcomes. We know also that it is necessary to have an abutment in the middle of our crown, bridge, arch, because it carries a mechanical load, so our crowns and bridges don't fracture over time. We know certainly for all on X and all on 4, it's much easier to work at the multi-unit level because we can see everything, from above the tissue and work at that above tissue level platform. However, we know that abutments, they do cause complications. We see time and time again titanium bases come debonded from single unit crown restorations. We also see wrong selections used for titanium bases, and those cause problems. There's still a very high level number of custom abutments that are cement retained restorations. And we know what XX cement does to the restorations over time. We know, I know Dr. Art Morella is a good friend of mine. He's on this call, but as a design company here, and we'll talk about that partnership in a second, but we know there's certainly a lot of wrong selections of MUAs that are used, from straight 17 degree, 30 degree, now 45 degree, now even saw on the market 60 degree. And you can imagine all the different cuff heights that come with those. So I like to say it's pretty hard to get that right every time. So that's a nice thing we can do, is avoiding MUAs. We know that obviously in every other implant system, you need an MUA. So what does that mean? You need to reduce more patient's bone to leave height for that MUA. So if we can reduce less bone, I think we all would agree that's a positive outcome for patients. And it's these Des or Rosen or Powerball. There's so many different companies that have their own version of secret sauce on this prosthetic screw. Those come loose, they break, they're tiny, and then working with a more robust screw, I think, is a big advantage. Added inventory control of stockiness can become somewhat of a headache. And also, implant dentistry is not going down in price, it is only going up. So if we can reduce cost, that's a win for us as well. Just a quick, I won't touch too much on this, but the center picture is just a typical titanium base becoming debonded from a crown. Not only is that an additional lab bill, but that's more chair time. So, and that's also patient frustration. So if we can avoid that, that's a good thing. And then Dr. Smoler, you tell me, or maybe thumb up or thumb down when it, maybe more years ago when a patient gets a full mouth reconstruction, of course, what do? They lift their lip up, they look at their mouth, and they sometimes see MUAs, and that's not a pretty image to see. And if we can avoid that, that's positive. So what we're doing different at TRI USA or TRI Global is we are reverse engineering the exact interface of a restoration, bypassing the need for in this example, a single unit, a titanium base. And we have this nice robust 2.8 bolt screw that goes very deep into the implant integration, into the implant itself. I'll talk in a couple of slides about a different screw you'd use for angulated screw channel, but this is a fantastic prosthetic single unit restoration that avoids tie bases from debonding. It avoids maybe some titanium gleam through from anterior cases, and it's perfectly reverse engineered every single time. And avoiding so these titanium bases in the middle of the restoration. And I'll show you in a couple of slides of why this is stronger. So rest assured your crowns and bridges will not break, and we're going to avoid a lot of these complications that also save you money along the way, which is very important. So hopefully everybody is a for-profit dental clinic. We certainly don't want to sacrifice quality because that's not good either. But this is a extremely high level aesthetic, amazing product, and we're also for-profit business owners here. So this is an important way to sharpen that bottom line and also increase profitability in your practices. So this slide will show you just an animation of the reverse engineer of this interface. And rest assured, you're working with a conical connection implant. We know Implants have evolved to conical-based connections versus internal hex or trilobes or other inferior connections. We know by the Zipridge study that micro movement from abutment to implant connection is the #1 indicator for crestal bone loss. So you are working with a zero bone loss concept implant with a conical connection implant with this 2.8 bolt screw where there is no micro movement. And you see bone maintained at a very high level in these implants without crestal bone loss. So I'll play this one more time here. I'll pause it. You see these kind of 3 notches. It's very easy to be this confused of a trilobe connection. However, all this is an index seating mechanism here that shows the exact reverse engineer, and this is just an index that does not carry any mechanical load to it for a seating purpose. And again, I will show you the next slide of how this is maintained by this bolt, and the stresses are put on the bolt and not the restoration. So this next slide here, you'll see the forces here of this implant. And we'll get into some of the, we'll get into some of the studies here in a bit that shows mechanically this is stronger than abutment level restorations. So we have, if you can see my previous screen here, my backdrop that when I started the presentation, we have these integrated applications, what I call is our biggest value proposition. And I'm gonna touch on the scan in, smile in 1 hour. I'm gonna touch on our digital healing collar library, which is for your posterior single unit restorations. I'm going to touch on the scan bridge, which is an alternative to photogrammetry for those of you that don't want to get involved in the world of photogrammetry or Insta-RESA workflows. There's lots of ways to get to home base, to get to passive fit. We're going to touch on the one of the most compelling propositions for us is our tooth in the box or arch in the box strategy, and then conclude with some cost saving scenarios. So this is for your single unit anterior aesthetic cases. So we know today that a patient typically, if they get a tooth #7 implant placed and restored, most patients, they leave your office with a flipper. They'll leave your office with an Essex template, or they'll leave your office, what I think is the best scenario for implant abutment workflows is a temporary abutment you'll use, and you'll get a shell, you'll float some Lux attempt to it, you'll light cure it, and then you'll screw retain that tooth into the patient out of occlusion and leave with a beautiful tooth. The tissue starts to adhere nice around that restoration until it comes time to final restore that patient. This, however, you can do, this is our option 4. So key to note, all 3 of those applications you can do today on the TRI matrix implant system. However, I think option 4, which is our scan and smile 1 hour, is a compelling value proposition that I'm going to talk about right now. So this is one of our doctor's cases here, Dr. Ryan Dunlop. This is a typical scan and smile presentation here where a patient gets presented. We see a fractured root tip. What we're going to do is obviously extract that root tip. We're going to drill our osteotomy. We're going to clean that socket out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get very nice high insertional torque on our TRI matrix implant. We'll then keep you into one prosthetic platform, short or long. We'll insert a scan body direct to the implant interface. We will scan it with our intraoral scanner. And then because we're a design company as well, we will do the design for you for a single unit restoration. We call it the 20 for 20. So for $20 in 20 minutes, we will send you an STL file back to send to your 3D printer. And then what's going to take place is we're on the top upper picture here. You see this little mushroom white cap. You'll place this during the time of the scanning and waiting for the design and the 3D print to be done in roughly 20 minutes. And then what we're going to do is send it to our 3D printer. We're going to have this beautiful tooth that was printed on a Sprint Rate Onyx Tough solution. And then we're going to insert it right to the implant interface. We're going to torque this to 20 Newton centimeters, and the patient's going to leave just like this. The beauty is if there's no patient negligence or any potential implant failure, we can then use the same STL file put the implant crown in occlusion, and then send it to TRI's milling center, which I'll talk about in a second. But and then that tooth the tooth comes back for roughly $120. The next patient visit, you're going to remove that temporary. You can see the way the tissue looks after that temp was placed after 2 to 3 months. And now we're going to screw down this beautiful zirconia restoration. No titanium base, no cement. In this case, it was an angulated screw channel that was used for aesthetic. No worries of titanium base. And bam, this is how the patient leaves. I love absolutely picking on my last implant company a little bit, Neodent, because this is side by side next to a Neodent implant. A little skewed because this implant with Neodent has been in the patient's mouth several years, but we can see just during this time the bone looks somewhat better than the Neodent implant. And this is a fantastic prosthetic outcome, and the patient leaves for $120 final zirconia restoration. So this is a fantastic workflow for your anterior single unit cases. Again, no metal gleam through, no flippers, no Essex templates, and a high prosthetic outcome. Second on the list here, we're going to talk about this digital healing collar library. We make these for All-on-X during the provisional digital conversion stage, and we make these obviously for your single unit posteriors. So this is a nice little STL library we give you. You print these in bulk. You have them in your tackle box come surgery day. Rest assured, if you do not have a 3D printer, we will provide these to you. And also that Scan and Smile case you saw before, if you don't have a 3D printer, we would overnight you that printed tooth the next business day, so you avoid those flippers and Essex templates for a cost of $79, including shipping. So we can take care of you even if you do not have a 3D printer. But these are fantastic. You can see the anatomical shape and profile of these healing abutments. You can see the way the tissue looks when they're inserted. And this is one of our KOLs in Chicago, Dr. Shivam Patel. This is he takes it a little step further and does a stain and glaze on his healing abutments. And I'll show you here. So here we are, we have an osteotomy drilled. We insert our dental implant. We insert the healing abutment we believe is selected correctly to fit this anatomic profile. You can see here the way the sulcus looks, the tissue, the teeth. And then what we do is we take it a step further and stain and glaze it. I always thought it was somewhat archaic, just every implant company having metal healing abutments. When a patient gets close to you, they talk, you see metal in the posterior. If we can avoid that, this almost looks like, as you can see here, almost like a crown. And it's a healing abutment that is provisionalized, and I think this is a nice aesthetic outcome. What we'll do, obviously, phase 2, patient comes back, you remove this healing abutment, we insert a scan body, short or long, you scan, and what happens next, Dr. Smoler? You get a tooth in the box right back to your office in 5 business days. And now your staff loves you because it's not, hey, what implant system is this? What platform is this? You remove it with a screw and you insert a tooth in. Let's get into full arch right now. Hopefully everybody appreciated that video and maybe had a little better snapshot on the angulated screw that's used. This implant would not be possible if we couldn't correct our implant angulations up to 30 degrees with that screw. I think we'd all agree nobody wants screw access holes coming out the facial. So, for the aesthetic zone cases, most likely you'll be using that 2.6 angulated screw. For your posteriors, those 2.8s. And your designer will exactly tell you what screw to use. Don't worry, we have a little cheat sheet, dummy sheet that comes with every prosthetic that tells you exactly what site your screw goes to, what torque setting it should be read at. Everything is labeled for you, so you use the exact screw. So always on hand, you're going to have a 2.8 or a 2.6, and our designer will tell you every time which one to use. So here we are in full arch dentistry. This is fantastic because I already summarized a little bit. There's less bone reduction. You place your implants business as usual as you would. In this case, we are very, very pro photogrammetry. We are extremely pro Instarisa workflow. We're very excited for this new partnership that we formed that streamlines the process. What Dr. Morellis talks about is this three-headed monster, which is important because there's this kind of myth about photogrammetry, right? Photogrammetry gets you to a passive fit. However, there's a lot of different indications to getting bite right, occlusion, and this ties everything in. So we have what we call a good, better, best workflow in terms of getting to home base. There's lots of ways to steal to get to home base, but we are ICAM, we're PIC, we're MicroMapper compatible. So if you have those instruments today and you have to use your photogrammetry, absolutely. If you're doing a couple arches a month and it doesn't make sense for you to invest in photogrammetry, we have you covered in the Instarisa workflow, and we have you covered in this ScanBridge, which is a fantastic alternative to photogrammetry. I like to say this is like OptiSplint, but free of charge. And again, all we do is worry about getting a passive fit in our implants, and this allows you to do that. So fantastic there. This just shows on a Trios 5, it takes 90 seconds. Implants go in, scan bodies go to the interface, you connect the ScanBridge, and bam, 90 seconds later, this is what you get to the design stage. So just due to time, I'll speed this up really quick here. As you see, this is exactly a 90-second clip. And bam, this is what you're left with to send to our designer that then allows you to get a design back in under an hour, roughly 1 hour, to send to your 3D printer.
This is it.
And again, if you do not have a 3D printer, don't worry. We will overnight you the printed teeth by 11 o'clock the next day if your design is in by 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I love this slide. I don't love this slide for implant placement, but I love this slide to know that we have no limits and it can be done. This was milled on our TRI milling center at a 70-degree angulation. This would be equivalent of putting a 70-degree MUA on. We know that a 70-degree MUA does not exist. So I call this case unrestorable on a Neodent, a Nobel, a BioHorizons, whatever implant system maybe you're working with today. But just know that we have no limits with TRI. We will mill this bad boy right to your implant interface. This is still a challenging case, keep in mind, to be able to insert this into the implants. But this is really just to really double down on where you place your implants, we're going to be able to restore you and get it done. This is a live study done by a really good gentleman that works for us in Switzerland, Mr. Holger Kast. His name's on this Straumann BLT implant, and he helped develop this implant TRI. And this is a live study that's used. And you'll see this is non-splinted, single unit, 30 degrees. So we'll let him talk here.
Packaged tissue level matrix implant, and we have a 2.8 zirconia screw. And then we can go on 35 Newton centimeter. So then I have this cylinder and I place the implant in the cylinder on this ground. I'm going to add as much weight as least as we tested it in our official test. So that's the first 1.25 kilo, 7.5. This is the next 2.5 kilos, 25 kilos. Right now, we have 80 kilos, the maximum of any human can bite. So how is your bet? What do you think? How much more? 100 more? 150 kilos on one single crown, 165 kilos. Okay, to finish that, I will add all the kilos on it. 177, that's enough. Woo! I think that's amazing.
I love that slide just because You know, that's good for me, that double the amount of any human can bite down, except for Mr. Robot, Bruce Smoler. You could probably go triple because you're half man, half robot. But and all joking aside, I love that slide. Yeah, I can't see what you're having there, but I know you're chomping at the bit there. I love it. So we have lots of simulation studies of billions of chewing cycles. So rest assured, this implant is not breaking. You can sleep very well at night. That is probably the common objection we hear out there. We're on year 6 now, and I'll tell you, we're in 49 countries, and we're selling hundreds of thousands of implants, millions now, and these restorations are certainly staying in patients' heads right now for a very long time. We also have lots of independent studies. If you guys were to take your phone out and scan this code, you'll also be getting a recording for everyone on this call today of this presentation. But this is one of our independent dental laboratories in the Midwest, actually very close to you, Dr. Smoler. This is over a 2.5 year, actually probably over now. This was last year. But this is over, 388 single units, 812 arches, 357 single units, and everything is 100% success rates from this independent dental laboratory on their cases. So 100%, I almost wish it was 99.9. So everyone's like, oh my gosh, how could it be 100? But this is what's being reported here. So again, rest assured of the quality of our prosthetics. Hopefully everyone, I'm gonna, maybe blow a few of you off your seat here a little bit. We're gonna talk about our lab services, our tooth in the box strategy here for single units. As I mentioned, we are a design company, and we are also a milling finished and unfinished company as well. So we offer the 20 for 20, as I mentioned. You get a design back for 20 bucks in 20 minutes to send to your 3D printer. As I also mentioned, if you do not have a printer, for $89, we will do the design for you and overnight you that printed, beautiful provisional tooth. I'm sure if you go to the UPS store and ask for overnight shipping, you see that tab. That alone is probably $45. So this is a steal in order to provide you this restoration. And then here's our final restorations: 120, 160, 180. 180 is your Rolls Royce crown restoration. We call it the Ultra Aesthetic. This includes your final design and includes shipping right to your door. You see the turnaround time right there to my right. And then the single units, I would say out of every 100 crowns we do for our customers, probably 90% is this 120. It's still very highly aesthetic. You see the turnaround time. You have a 10-year guarantee on the restorations, and it's fantastic. If you were to go to Glidewell's website on your current provider, Glidewell I like to reference because it's like Walmart, right? It's good prices every day, and it's fairly good quality. However, that restoration for any implant system, they charge you $349. So as I mentioned, everybody is a for-profit entity, not a non-for-profit. This is a great savings for you to get rid of those titanium bases that no patients want. They want more surface area, and they want beautiful aesthetics. Now, if you had your own in-office laboratory and you wanted to utilize us, we would give you a milled and centered single unit milled right to our interface for $49. We also are a surgical design company as well, so we'll do that for you. If you wanted the print to go with it, you see the numbers there. And we're like to say we're your one-stop shop. Every restoration, I'll get into the full arch in a second of how you get our full arches, but everything comes now with this medical device card in your box. I love this because this is maybe a best practice from orthopedic companies: hips, joints, knees. What does the patient get when they leave? They get their Stryker card. They get their medical device card. The doctor signs it. They know the warranty. They're getting the world's best restoration. And this is a page from that playbook that every restoration you'll be giving your patients, notifying them they have the best smile in the world. I'm going to show a quick video from a KOL of ours. This is Layla Grubich, if you know who she is. She runs a very prevalent, known full arch center in Chicagoland. They're an oral surgeon. However, they do a direct-to-consumer on their full arches. They do about 40 arches a month. It's been a full switch to us from single units to full arches. They've been utilizing our milling center for over 6 months. And testimonials are everything in this industry. So I'm gonna play this here for a second.
Hi, I'm Layla, co-founder at Novi Smile, a full arch center in the Chicagoland area. We've been using TRI for our final zirconia bridges, and it's been a game changer. The aesthetics are beautiful, as you can see. The fit is precise, and the quality is consistent every time. When it comes to quality, results, and quality, TRI delivers on every level. Our patients are happy, and so are we.
So I love this. I love this exercise. I'm almost done. I promise you, everybody, this is an important exercise to do, I think, for your practice. I'm gonna just give you a quick little cost calculator here of calculating your profitability. If you go to www.implantcalculator.com or scan this right here, this is an important exercise. Having been in the implant world for the last 20 years, doctors, as we know, are notorious for, what is your implant price? I'm getting my implant for this cost. I need you to get to this level. But so many clinicians worry about what it takes what is an actual case cost? What is it actually the true cost of completing that single unit restoration? What is the actual complete cost of completing that full arch? And it's an exercise that, believe it or not, is not being done enough. And so let's take you through that. So feel free to scan this, or I'll walk you through it right now on my web browser. So we're going to go to implantssavingscalculator.com. We're going to go click on US dollars. We're going to start with single unit restorations. We're just going to take kind of just an average here. So don't get sticker shocked on a $200 implant, which I think is still fantastic, but we'll leave it here for this sake of this exercise here. Again, this is like anything, everything is somewhat negotiable, and we can make sure that the number looks right for your practice, which is important. So in this exercise, we're taking our TRI matrix implant to $200. We're taking our screw to $25. We know our healing abutments, they're customized, and I like to say state of the art is a $0 price tag. We know our implant crown is $129, and we also know that comes with the final design. So here in this scenario is $345 all in. Now let's take an implant for $150. Maybe this is an implant direct. Maybe this is a neodent implant. Let's consider this as a posterior dental implant. We know, hey, maybe you may be reusing healing abutments, or maybe there's a small charge at $10. I'm taking once again the Glidewell custom abutment and crown fee of $350. We talked to a customer today in New York that was paying a $575 for a custom abutment and crown. He thought that was the standard. So we see it range from the low, probably $275, all the way to around $600. And we know the design is included in that $350. So on this example here, on a less expensive implant, we're at $510 price tag, and at 200 implant single units a month, you can spit out the savings and see what's taking place here. So in a per case and a per year, $33,000. If I was a business owner, I would say, okay, let's pump this into some marketing for us and get more patients in the door. Now let's take this a step further and go over the full arch workflow. So the same analogy of that price point on the TRI implants. We know our arch offering working with Instarisa, I'll show you that in a second, is $999, which I think is incredible. We know our design can be altered here. I just put it at $300 in this example here. And here we go here for our competitors. This was, again, a 150 implant. So that would be 153, it'd be $600 on a 150 here. Let me make that adjustment. Most doctors are working with a version of a Rosen screw. Those typically come in around $15 a piece. With working with TRI, you get the best price in the entire United States on your Sprint Ray accessories, which is important to know. So we're going to save you money there on your Onyx Tough and your hardware. Your milled arch, I think that's somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 is what we typically see in the market. $2,500 on the low, the very low. We know MUAs, what those to work with. Those are kind of around $100 a piece. So we'll put those roughly at $400. And everyone can kind of do their math of what they're paying here. And then, we'll just keep design constant here for this example here. But on this scenario here, you know, it gets robust. So let's say 2 arches a month. That's 24 arches a year, and we can spit out another $40,000 in savings just at two arches a month. So key to note here is the matrix implant system is by far, in my personal opinion, we actually switched one of our individuals, customers that was getting a $25 implant, and we saved them money. You know, working with JB Dental Lab. So the cost savings is real here working with us. And again, less bone reduction, no titanium bases, not farting around, putting on 17 and 30 degree straight MUAs. And time savings is also key to this equation. I'll go back here just one more slide here, and I promise you I'm done. Many of you asked what it takes to get involved with, to get started with us. We tool you up for free. We give you surgical kits. We give you pros kits. We give you the titanium scan bodies, short and long, to work with. This is a 25 implant package, is kind of the bare minimum here to get started with our system, which is $68.75. It's 25, you know, implants and screws. You have everything you need but the prosthetics. And this offering for our full arch, I think this is the hottest movement in implant dentistry today. So we're going to streamline you on your arches. So for $3,000, $2,999, there's no hidden fees. Every arch you do comes with implants. It comes with 3 Instarisa designs. It comes with the 25, you know, comes with your final zirconia prosthetics. And for those of you who do not have a facial scanner, bite, occlusion, design, passive fit, we are putting in a $20,000 education, training, components, and facial scanner into your practice free of charge. You are not writing that check. We're writing it for you, and we're going to streamline you and essentially commit to doing 25 arches throughout a period of time. You don't have to do them in a specific amount of time, but we're going to keep your case costs low. We're going to put all the technology in, and you're going to be off to the races. So please scan this right here. And any package, whether it's this or our starter package, we are giving you 2 zirconia arches to get started. So whether it's on a Neodent case, whether it's on a BioHorizons, Implant Direct, you have arches out there that have not been restored, we will put immediate cash right back in your wallet. Do not write that lab check. We'll write it for you. We'll mill it for you. We'll put it back. We'll put immediate ROI on, or you can wait and do those on TRI. We got you covered. This is my information here. My name again is Chris Luter. This is my cell phone, 480-665-6326. If you're on Instagram, add me. Feel free to add me. We'll take care of you. I am so delighted to pass the torch over here to Dr. Bruce Smoler. Please feel free to put him through the gauntlet, answer us any complex questions after his presentation. As I mentioned, he's like the Terminator, but the Smolinator. And I'm really, really happy to pass the torch to you, my friend. I'm not sure if you're still muted, but we don't hear you.
I know because I'm not talking.
Love it.
Okay. And let's see. Well, thank you, Chris. As always, you did a masterful job. And you can see my screen and hear me?
Yes, we can.
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, good. Thank you, Chris, for that. So I'd like to just mention that what Chris said is 100% true. We bonded a couple of years ago, not going to get into details, completely legit. One of us was sober. And what ended up happening is I put up a good defense, almost as good as the Lions when they're fully stocked with their defensive line rushers. But he wore me down. And really what it came down to was understanding that there's dogma. And there's a disease in dentistry and implant manufacturing, even definitely in lab prosthesis manufacturers, OEMs. And that disease is what I call stinking thinking. Sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. So as I say, never say never. And this is exactly one of the reasons. And it really is true. I finally took my own advice. Hardest thing to open is a closed mind. So the ability to evaluate options, to look outside the box is really invaluable to try to find opportunities that are amongst us. So as it was mentioned, I was at Michigan undergrad for 3 years, finished up early, then I went to Northwestern Dental School. It was great. 4 years, year round, right downtown Chicago, arguably some of the best times of my life. And it was actually where I met Miss Wright. Now, we weren't married till 5 years later, and that's when I found out her first name was Always. So Always Right, and I know a lot of us have them at home or wherever they may be. So it was great. As a second generation dentist, I really enjoyed my time in Chicago. And let me see here. So I just wanted to touch on something that a buddy of mine, Jonathan, had really talked about, and this hits home. The longer I spend in fixed full arch, all on X, teeth in a day, call it what you will, there seems to be a focus on arches. As my buddy Adam will say, it's not what's in your foot. People talk about arches. It's really more than that. People talk about, oh, how many can you do in a day? How many do you in a week? How many do you in a month? People are progressive. What ends up happening is how many do you do? Well, you lose sight that it's really not a badge of honor how many you do, because we all want to, get through the gauntlet as far as being able to get to the next level, the next level, the next level. But there's a connection that too many people miss. And without that understanding that there's a patient connected to each and every one of those arches, you're really not able to connect as well. And people, patients, your staff will see through that, because ultimately communication is only a small percentage verbal. Everything else, your mannerisms, how you may seem disinterested in their sob stories, and you want to get to know their credit score and are they a qualified buyer? So imagine if that patient was your favorite actress without teeth, or maybe a quarterback. How would things change? And when you really think about it, they come in, they're in bad shape, and they're looking for a judgment-free zone. And how you manage your team, how you respond and nurture them, I'm always looking at ways to improve. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but what happens is you can actually have a choice as a leader of your office. Are you a leader that just leads, or are you a leader that inspires? And when you really take a step back and see how you can connect with the people around you, especially your patients, all those nonverbal views and attitudes, if you're just looking at numbers and, oh, I got to get more than my buddy Azam, and I got to get more than my other buddies out there, you really have to understand that there's more to it. So my dad, I'm a second generation dentist. My dad taught me something about life and how you treat patients. And he had a gift. He said, you're able to connect with the patients. They're there for a reason. And he had his definition of tact was telling a patient to go to hell, but have them happy that they had a place to go. These patients, they don't want to know what's going on. They can't handle the truth. And yeah, it's wild to think that these people with loose mobile teeth for 5, 10, 15 years, what are they thinking? And the difficulty is the more you are unable to connect, the more you're not able to understand the psychology of those people in front of you. the missed opportunities of helping them when they've got adequate bone, when they are a slam dunk case. And so too many times you're stuck with these hopeless patients that are just very hapless because our colleagues didn't do a good enough job connecting with them. They're looking at them as arches, not people in need, and sometimes desperate need. So being able to help the patients move forward, being able to have a goal in mind, yeah, it's one step at a time. So for us, the way that we are able to develop things, and we're really gonna, before I get into the meat of it, I always take the opportunity to help my colleagues out there understand the connections, because you could be the best damn implantologist, but if you don't have a team around you, or if you're not able to connect yourself, you're not going to be able to show off those Instagram worthy images and posts because there's no one to work on. So the ability to create that vision, have people buy into it, it begins with assembling a team. And for me, I'm blessed. I'm not lucky, I'm blessed. And I've surrounded myself with people almost as crazy as I am, where what happens is my office administrator, she's been with me for 20 years. She's going to get some time off for good behavior. So who knows how much longer. She's been really snippety these days and very snarky. So I said to her the other day, Lori, how do you expect to last for another 20 years with an attitude like that? So they really support me. And it's really like TRI and especially the Yomi. You need a team around you that can support you, because if they can't help you up and keep you supported, you're going to end up on your ass. So that was years ago. I needed more team members nowadays. So yeah, we've grown. Maybe I've grown a little bit through the years. So really what we're going to look at this evening with the limited time I have left, is that right, Chris? I have what, like 2 minutes now, 3 minutes?
The stage is yours, my man. The stage is yours. Everyone's here to
Oh,
see
good.
you.
So one of the nice things, the hundreds of people that want to be here, you're in luck, because before you showed up for this presentation, this is sort of how people are. And so now what I fully anticipate is after this program, we're all going to be like this. So now let's get to it. By combining the simplicity and the advances of the TRA matrix system, I mean, no abutments. How ridiculous is that? I just, nothing against you, Chris, but I've heard of you for many years. I've been forewarned. And so what are they thinking? No abutments? What kind of gimmick is this? Well, then you think about putting together that type of simplistic system with the precision of Yomi-enabled surgery. And we always say yes to Yomi-enabled surgery. And it's like creating beautiful music. You put two great programs, two great brands together, and the next thing you know, you've got the simplicity of the matrix TRI system, TRI, sorry, as well as the predictability, reliability, and precision of Yomi. And oh my gosh, robotic navigation makes the difficult simple. The protocol for FP1s, I mean, it's like they were made, a match made in prosthetic heaven, where you can now be able to have the implants placed more predictably, almost tissue level, where you could actually have a bigger volume around the neck of the connection, and then the precision with the Yomi. So it's really nice, because when you look at the best parts of the two systems, it really allows you more predictability at a higher level. Now, people will always ask, you know, I've been on this journey for over 35 years. And if my implant, my W&H implant handpiece could talk, it would tell a big tale as far as how we did things for decades. It's interesting. I had a patient that came to me from one of my mentors, Carl Misch, and I remember probably 25 years ago talking about this prototype implant that had discs because it was all about surface area connection. It's inserted sideways. I didn't have enough time to actually load that slide deck in, but it's really wild to see it was I believe it came from France, but it's fins that are inserted sideways. So lots of ups and downs through the years, and people will wonder, what's the one or two keys that allowed us to practice at this level? My focus, my personal view is that I always look forward. I don't look back. I kind of forget all the people I've stepped on the way up the ladder, but it's really been awesome. And the things that I look at, I never really stop. When you're living your life in a purposeful way, sure, putting in 12, 14, 16, 18, sometimes 20-hour days. I can't wait for each and every day to start. So the three things that I really teach some of my clinicians that I'm privileged enough to be with, three things to success: to be hungry and motivated, think outside the box, and willingness. And everything after that will just fall into place. So for tonight, the question is, why TRI? What was it that opened my mind to, yep, give it a try? So it's really cool to have everybody talk about fewer parts, pieces, and components. It's almost like the Elon Musk way to do things. You go to first principles. How many parts and pieces do I need? Well, the more parts, the more components, the more pieces really make it more complicated. And so the hot thing these days is, oh my gosh, let's look at sexy FP1s. Well, when you really look at what's possible, you don't have that massive metal at the gum line. Sure, a conical neck connection will be better than a platform connection. But yet at the end of the day, more pieces, more components, more products to keep around. And it's really a disadvantage when you have a better way to do things. And so what I'm going to really talk about is the multi-level platform, not the bone level. And really it's just opening your mind to know and understand where you want to place the top portion of that implant relative to the crest. So it becomes real easy, straightforward. And now I believe they even have the pterygoid line available. And a lot of this is exactly what was discussed earlier in the 3 minutes that Chris was talking. And it's really nice. So presently I use the Matrix multi-level. And here's some of the things I look at. No abutments, no cement, no limits. Are you kidding me? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten into surgery, and yeah, I didn't fill out the component sheet the right way. My inventory control people just didn't see the notices, and there I am stuck. I don't have what I need to finish the job the way that I want. Well, we could always swap things out later, is what I'm told. Well, when you have all the potential for things to go wrong, we had a poster with a bullseye, and in the middle it said hit head here. So for Boss's Day, I think 2 years ago, my staff got me a mini punching bag. And let me tell you, fewer is better. Simplify your life, simplify your implant line, fewer parts, pieces. And this is one way to have efficiencies being driven from first principles. So when you want to start your day and you're thinking, how many things do I want to go wrong in today's schedule? Well, if I have fewer variables, then at one point we had 3, 4 offices, and now we're down to one, thank goodness, because now all I know is that all the problems I have at the office are coming from one location, which is just great. So the bottom line is that you want to maximize efficiencies And when you think about it, each and every day, there's only 86,400 seconds. And how you get to choose to spend them really matters when you live a purposeful life. So the things that I think about is how I can bring together the Yomi and maximize efficiency with a simpler implant system. And this is a perfect segue into the Yomi. So robotic navigation has been in the medical field for decades, really. And it's interesting, one of the founders on the board of directors with Yomi is Dr. Frederick Moll, who was instrumental in the medical field to bring all the different robotic devices from the medical field, now helping Yomi as far as how they can be the first, the leader in robotic technology for dental implants. So why has the dental field taken so long? Well, I already talked about stinking thinking, and here's what it is. Why Yomi? I mean, when I first got the Yomi about 5 years ago, and my dear wife, Miss Wright, told me, Bruce, who in their right mind buys a robot in the middle of a global pandemic? Well, that would be me. And what ended up happening as an early adopter, I figured, you know what? Imagine all the possibilities of being able to do something differently. The precision, the accuracy, minimally invasive. Most of the times, we're not even laying a flap. And it's just unbelievable. The possibilities when you are not limited by a brain guided manual manipulation of where you want to put the implant. For years, we used to tell our patients, we're going to be able to do the best job possible that we can provide for you. Now, we're being able to provide the best job anywhere that's possible as far as precision and accuracy. And speaking of precision and accuracy, a colleague of mine, Jay Newgarden, one of the smartest people I know, just ask him. It's true though. He has a paper that talks about the accuracy and precision of haptic robotic guided implant surgery, a large consecutive series, and it's in not just a rinky-dink publication, but Yomi is one of the hardest publications to get your articles published. So he's a very great operator. I've had personal friends be able to go through the services with them. And really, he is beyond compare. The skill, the level of knowledge, expertise that he brings. He's actually going to be in Miami in a couple of weeks at the Marketing, Business, and Tech Conference. So he'll be one of the speakers. So it's definitely worthwhile to listen to. There's other publications out there. Oh, that one's by me. Talking about robotic assisted implant placement technology and reviewing of how it works. So being able to place, I think we're up to maybe close to 1,500 robotically placed implants. It's really nice. And it comes down to having the team being able to offer the services, helping me being able to do what we do. So it is by far and away the most accurate, least invasive way to place implants. We're able to do things today that we've never been able to do before. And as I tell my patients, if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for them. So check it out online, subscribe, hit the like button. There's actually a video of me getting my own dental implants. Yep, a little bit wacky, but hey, you know, if the shoe fits. So it's amazing that we can do these things. Let me tell you, to place implants with my right hand on the right side of the patient's mouth, place implants with my left hand on the left side of the patient's mouth. We actually had a video going. I was so close to uploading it. The video title was Stevie Wonder's School of Implant Dentistry. I had my eyes closed and I'm placing the implant, and I thought better of it. I didn't want to, get in trouble with the state. No need to step over the line. But it's really amazing when you think about haptic control to place implants. So it's really a blessing knowing the technology, how things work. And let me just say, it is not acceptable for zygomatic implants. Let me tell you how I know. So it was really nice. We had the brain trust out, the pioneer in implant dentistry. Lon Moses is the CEO, and it's a bunch of tech nerds and engineers. So we actually had a program that was for FDA testing. So they actually had very stringent rules and regulations, doing a double-blind study in our office, just proving different parts of the technology. And the technology is always advancing. Updates, upgrades, you name it, there's something new that's coming out there. So it's great because there's a lot of dentists these days through maybe 12 different WhatsApp groups and messenger posts and Facebook groups. It really is crazy. On any given minute, you could be talking to someone from Israel to New Zealand and everywhere in between. So it's really nice being able to help my colleagues. We've all had mentors out there. It's not a hand out, it's a hand up. So that's pretty much what I feel. So when you stop and think about it, we've expanded our offices. We're able to help more people. So as in the words of Gene Wilder, come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Truly, it's amazing what's possible. So we really want to be able to help people understand, is the Yomi a right fit or not? So we got a landing page, roboticdentalarm.com, and it's a way that you could figure out, is your office a right fit? Do you do enough services to provide to the patients? And it's amazing. I've yet to see a patient come in, because we used to have static guides. With the robot, with the technology, patients actually will seek you out. It's really amazing how the number one barrier to docs being able to do better is their attitude and their approach. So we want to try to level up the services utilization and the level and standard of care. So when you look at surgical navigation options, there's basically three types. So here's the lowdown: static guides, stackable guides, and dynamic or haptic. What's best for you? Well, I'll run through this real quick. Basically, we're not real happy with stackable guides. The inaccuracy, the cost, the need to reflect more for them. I mean, I can go on and on. And really, when you think about it, sure, freehand is awesome, brain guided, but it's not as accurate. And sure, when you're dealing with full arch, there is a lot of flexibility, but imagine how nice it is knowing the predictability of being able to place things to the highest level possible. So lots of parts, pieces, and components. I've used them all. I used to be lecturing about guided restorative solutions years ago. And just because you have a guide doesn't mean it's going to work. Who's guiding the guide? And there are times where you're expected to keep buccal bone in place. And guess what? You take out a tooth and parts of the bone come out. And you just spent $1,500, $2,500, $3,000 on a guide that unfortunately is past its usefulness. So this is no fun when this happens. And anybody who's been involved in using stackable guides, static or even dynamic systems, there's problems. So these are the things that can happen when you use haptic guided navigation that's robotic. Look at this. So I'm drawing it up and thinking, okay, not much bone, but what can you do? Well, this patient had been wearing a denture for probably about 15, 25 years. And guess what? No stitches, no incisions, no peeling back of the tissue. Are you kidding me? Those are the tissue whitecap scans. Here's her upper arch. This is literally 2 minutes after surgery, practically bloodless, unbelievable. And sure enough, the robot makes it happen. I mean, I'm pretty good, but the robotic makes me really good. And so if it's good enough for her, for Michelle, imagine what's possible. And really, that's the thing that we focus on. So now we're going to get into a process as far as what we do pre-surgically, we'll do it the workup. So we really have to know what's going on. Fixed full arch cases, all in X, there's a lot to it. So you have to accurately do a workup, both dentally, medically, and yeah, you know what? Psychologically. I mean, sometimes these patients be crazy. What their expectations are. Imagine someone for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They can't chew, they can't bite, they can't do any of these things. So are their expectations reasonable? Are you able to set the tone and balance it? Because too often what happens is either you set the bar too high and it's unrealistic, or you set it too low and you scare them away. So it's really a balancing act between the two. So here's going to be some clinical cases. It's really amazing when you look at the TRI, the digital flexibility, there's really something for everyone. And this is what's possible in some cases. So the hottest topic, what can you do minimally invasive with minimal bone reduction? I don't know about your patients. A lot of our patients have bone loss. A lot of our patients don't have the residual ridge that allows us to do FP1s to the highest level. So in these cases, it's almost like a unicorn. There's a video that I was thought better of putting in, the hot chick matrix. So what happens is when you look at the people with bone, with bad teeth that can afford an FP1, they're harder to find. So too many times we're not necessarily able to do these things. Now, full disclosure, this is not my case, but it does show what's possible as far as an implant system without the bulk, without the mass, without the bone reduction that's necessary with the TRI system. So let's meet Crystal. Our typical workup is we want to be able to have full face, side, smiling as well. There's going to be issues that patients forget how they looked ahead of time. So more records is important. And of course, the most important one is the full high lip line exposure of the gummiest smile that they can give you, because it's critical where you're going to be able to place that transition line. And in this particular situation, Crystal had issues. It was mostly on her lower jaw. So we do our photos, intraoral, right, left, center, and also occlusals. So you could tell that the lower is decimated with no posterior teeth. The uppers are going to be soon. For whatever reason, we could not do upper and lower. But let's look at some of the problem spots. Infected teeth, narrow areas of bone on the lower right, and also the posterior. So here's what we do with our workflow. We're able to use the Yomi planning station as a centerpiece. Everything works through our Yomi planning station. This is a case that my team has already loaded in. They know exactly the size, the location of the implants, so it becomes very cookbook. And the precision that you're able to do is unparalleled. I mean, you're talking fractions of a millimeter. So in this particular situation, we have the Yomi link bone attached to the patient, which then is attached to the robot. And then you're able to plan out exactly what's going on. And you have the attachment screws that show up on the jaw of the same day scan. And now this is the different areas. So this is the area for number 30. And voila, look at the results. I mean, how nice is that? everything lined up, everything parallel. I mean, if you're into that sort of thing. And here's the thing, the precision, the accuracy. This isn't precise and not accurate. It's not accurate and not precise. It hits the bullseye each and every time. So pre-op, I knew that we had 14 millimeters above the nerve. And here we placed it and we were about 2.3 millimeters away. And we do that predictably. Day in, day out, hit the nail on the head. It's really nice when we're able to do that. So once we get the patient attached, our workflow is full digital. We have stage 0. So we now are able to upgrade the type of breadcrumbs or markers that we use. So I am able to know exactly where the pilot drill allows us to put our breadcrumbs. These are DES screws, one piece 050 driver. They don't fall apart. We don't have to monkey around. So it takes me just a couple of minutes to be able to get the markers in place. This was just a lower arch. So the right side, the left side, and then we're off to the races after intraoral stage 0 scan, reflect the tissue. And yes, sometimes you don't know what you're going to find. So it's like that saying from Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolate. You don't know what you're going to see when you reflect the tissue. So in many cases, even though you do want to do it flapless, many times you can't, because who knows what lurks under the tissue. This is the Yomi link bone, where it's an attachment. We do in our workflow, we do our bone leveling, then we line up where the Yomi link bone is attached. We set our screws in place. We have a fiducial array. Patient gets a day of scan, and then we're off to the races. So this is me being able to produce the desired results. The nice thing about the TRI surgical kit, it's all spelled out. So if you look at the screen that I'm looking at, I'm barely looking in the mouth. My team, my staff, they're keeping the cheek, the tongue out of the way. It's a sense of feel, and I'm able to see and feel exactly in the guided position where I'm spot on. So it's amazing. You measure out your carrier as far as how deep you need to place it. And then you're able to place the implant exactly where you want it. Here is the same day delivery. We got a turnaround, probably about 20-30 minutes after the design. And you'll see that big bolt screw, it's not messing around. It's strong, it's stable, it's going to hold things in place. We've gone through, oh my gosh, how many screws? I mean, we got screws on top of screws. So it's really nice being able to have a beefier screw that's able to stay in place and really be able to make this prototype work much better. So here she is with her lower in place. Here's our after scan, so you can see predictably, day in, day out, all day, every day, how you want it designed. So you create it, that which you can conceive and believe you will achieve. And that's how the case goes. So without further ado, onward and upward. I'm here to take any questions. So I wanted to keep this short and sweet because I knew Chris was going to monopolize, what, 80% of our time?
Thank you
You
so
can
much.
speak now.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Dr. Smoler. Fantastic presentation. Love the Yomi robotic. We certainly see more and more of that coming into the marketplace. We're seeing it all over now. Certainly on the full arch space, we see it consistently in the field. For those of you maybe have some questions for Dr. Smoler, you could enter it into the chat, and certainly we'll keep it up. We'll have Dr. Smoler answer any questions you may have, or maybe any questions that I may be able to answer for you. We also have clinical doctors on hand that may be something I can't answer in the TRI system. But certainly, Dr. Smoler, feel free to ask away on his experience with TRI, his experience with Yomi, his experience maybe implementing into his practice. Dr. Smoler, you were a BioHorizons user, if I wasn't mistaken, correct, beforehand?
We actually have Zygos by Norris. I'm anxious to see how the TRI pterygoids are. We actually, for some trans sinus, we have neodent because we have to go 22, 24 millimeters sometimes. So yeah, it's like a mix and match at times.
Yeah. We'll have you cover there with the 20, 22, and 24 millimeter TRI implants here shortly. With our line extension, wider implants, the portfolio is significantly expanding, which is fantastic for us. So we'll have those pterygoids as well. The only thing we will not have is zygoma, but I like to think most indications we can treat almost every patient with our portfolio.
That's awesome.
We do have a
So
question that just came in. So feel free, everyone, to let the questions rip here. Don't be shy. This is from Alexander. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing your last name correct. Kawante. It said, "Great lecture. Could you show your planning placement slides for Yomi again?"
most assuredly.
And I have some more questions coming in. Maybe while you load that. So doctor is asking to show your placement planning slides for Yomi again. And then
Is
we'll
this
get on
it?
to question number 2 that just popped up.
So in this situation, you get to, let me put on my pointer. Can you see my pointer? Is my laser
Yes.
pointer? Okay.
Yes.
So you preload the different implants, the different libraries. So you have the size, diameter, you could always customize it. And really it won't matter per se, although here is where you set your parameters. The outline is 1.5 millimeters. So the outside portion is 3 millimeters. This little white area is one of the set screws from the Yomi Link bone that's in place. So you get to change things on the fly. No other system, nothing out there is dynamic and haptic. So other competitors, and they're not really competitors, this does not allow you to be off axis. If I had to look at a video screen and hear noises and look at things that came together as far as like a target, other systems, it's hard because let's say you have a nervous twitch. I could have a nervous twitch and still be the best implant surgeon because it's haptic. It's like your steering wheel that allows you to stay on the road. It cannot deviate from your system. And there's tips and techniques. We'll have docs come out to observe and see how we get around. So that skiving and sometimes the initial drill may bounce around. So with training, getting up that learning curve, you're able to know exactly where things are placed, exactly how you want to place them, the angulation. So in this situation, you're able to make sure that everything is parallel when you want it parallel. If you don't have enough bone and you need to tip or make some adjustments, load in your STL files, know exactly where your adjusted screw channel will be for your TRI, so you could have it going exactly where you need it. It's incredible. Hopefully that answered your question.
We have another question that came in from, thank you for helping me pronounce this, doctor, from Dr. Buckeye. This doesn't, hope this is not an Ohio State rivalry for you, so don't worry here. But says, "Hi, Doc, great presentation. With minimal bone reduction required for the TRI system, how much inner arch space do the full arch cases require for fabrication of the zirconia hybrids?" We do hear this from time to time.
So others may know some of the newer techniques. I mean, if you go back to Procera, there was the smallest, I think was like, and here's the thing, just dawned on me, you're going to have a bigger bulk of material at the interface than if you have that MUA. So you could actually cheat and probably have a tooth height, and I'd have to check with the brain trust as far as in the lab side of things. But if you've got more bulk of zirconia at that interface, you can actually have a shorter amount of requirements because now you've got a connection that's going to be more robust. you're going to be able to have more mass of zirconia, where in other protocols, it's going to be taken up by a multi-unit. So Chris, what would you say is the minimum?
Yeah,
So-
that varies. I know that I've asked this question before, and I should have this memorized right now.
Because you've got two issues. You've got, let's say, the pontic area, and then you actually have the connection above the implants. The connection above the implant, you're going to have at least 2 to 3 millimeters, if not more, of where it's placed at the crest of the bone without the MUA. So you could actually cheat, and I would imagine 7, 8 millimeters in prosthetic height would be sufficient, because over your MUA, over your implant, your TRI implant, you're going to be even taller with more bulk of material.
Yeah, this is from Dr. Iman, one of our surgeons, as you know, who helped onboard you. He said reduction depends on upper lip line. We only need 12 millimeters of reduction, but may need more based on the lip line on the upper.
But if
Yeah,
but if you're looking at a minimum thickness, let's say all things are equal and it's going to be an FP1 design, what is the minimum requirement of your bridge? So
Yeah.
this is more of a prosthetic bridge lab question versus prosthetically placing the transition line. So as I said, I know Procera years ago, to the implant level was probably 7 to 9 millimeters.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's not much.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we answered your question there, Dr. Buckeye. We can certainly deep dive on that question with my clinical team as well. Thank you, Dr. Smoler. We have another question here. Great presentation. Thank you for sharing your expertise. In your opinion, how does the bolt compare to direct to implant screws on the market? How does the bolt screw compare to the direct to implant screws that are currently on the market? From Dr.
Well,
Arguellas.
you're actually comparing apples to oranges, because if you're talking about any other system, you're not necessarily going to have as smooth of a transition. You're not necessarily going to be able to go from an implant level as easily in fixed full arch, and have things as seamless. So I know that ICAM is not compatible with implant level. There is some adaptation with PIC, and we have a tuple for sale. If anybody looks at the photogrammetry for implant level, it's problematic. So the size of at least my prosthetic screws back in the day for implant level are smaller. I don't know, probably 2.1, or if that, 1.8. So your typical prosthetic screw for implant level is smaller. The technology of being able to have screw thread stretching and tightening, part of that is the metallurgy of the actual component. But yeah, when you start off with something that's bigger, it's usually better. Wait, what was the question?
Yeah, it just comparing it to those, smaller prosthetic screws that, from the MUAs that everybody works with today to now transitioning to this bolt screw.
Yeah, puny is not good.
Yeah. I think we see this as a massive upgrade in the space for sure. Any other questions? Great questions.
Thank you, Kylie.
Dr. Smoler, if someone wants to maybe private send you a private message, reach out to you, how do they do that? I know you're all over your Facebook. You're pretty easy, easy to spot, but maybe for non-Facebook users, if someone wants to message you, how do they go about doing that?
So let me pull up that last slide. You could easily find me. Let's see here. Let me get off my options. So basically, email. It is Dr. Bruce at Smoler Smiles. Let me. Okay. Office phone number is 734-728-5600.
There's that slide right there. Yeah.
Yeah, let me pull it back up. Instagram at Smoler Smiles, YouTube at Smoler Smiles, email Dr. Bruce at Smoler Smiles. Let's see, how else? WhatsApp is me. Pretty much Facebook, Messenger, telepathy, you name it. I try to be accessible. Oh, and 734-221-3646 is my you could text me. It doesn't accept calls, it's my Google number, so have to screen people a little bit more judiciously these days. But yeah, easy to reach out and touch, get connected. So we're here to help, whichever way, whatever way. The better we are and the better we can have our environment. There's a lot of people doing things for the wrong reasons, in my humble opinion. And the more we can help people raise their level of standards, and in implant dentistry, I think we will all benefit.
Thank you, Dr. Smoler. For those of you who don't know, the Smoler Express, you visit his office, you get a free t-shirt. I wear them around the house, so thank you much for that. You're just an incredible soul, Dr. Smoler, a personal friend, a fantastic clinician, and we can't thank you enough for being a part of this journey to eliminate abutments across the implant space. And again, thank you very much. For those of you maybe missed a key element of this presentation, we will be sure to email you the meeting presentation via email. And if there's no other questions right now, this will conclude our webinar today.
Yeah, and you know, Chris, friends don't let friends use multi-unit abutments.
There is one more question from Dr. Buckeye. He did say, I'd like to meet up with you sometime to get a firsthand peek and conversation about the TRI implant system and the Yomi. So I'll
Awesome.
buy lunch for both of you even. That's very nice of you. And fantastic opportunity. I'm not sure where you're located, doctor, but we're happy to set some time up with you, and certainly you could parachute into Dr. Smoler's fantastic practice. I have been there myself. It's a fantastic establishment and clinical home base for you, Dr. Smoler. So
yeah, and my only request, people that come should bring treats for our office dog Zygo. She loves it. She's such a mooch. She's awesome. So she's on our Facebook page. Like it. Her birthday's coming up in November. It's a surprise, so don't tell her. But we got a special spa day for her. She's going to get pampered. So yeah, we've got a lot of toys here, lots of fun, and life is too short not to enjoy the ride.
awesome. Well, thank you very much. This concludes tonight's webinar. Hope everybody enjoyed it very much, and have a wonderful night, everybody.